Hey guys, so we're going to continue my series about how to write faster. Last week was part 1 and we looked at how to write faster by setting up your writing nook and getting in a comfortable place and in a routine that kind of helps you write faster. So today we're going to be looking at how to write faster part 2, outlining and knowing your scene. So the importance of outlining and knowing your scene actually helps you to write faster. The importance of it is because rather than having to sit down as you're writing, if you don't know the scene that you're gonna do, your brain is having to think, okay, what am I gonna do now? And you have to think of what are the characters gonna talk about and what are they gonna do, and is this fight supposed to happen, or is this drama supposed to happen, or what are they supposed to talk about? And you have to kind of as you're sitting there at your computer or your notebook, you have to think about those things creatively, and that requires a lot of thinking, and thinking takes time. So if you want to actually write faster, then outline your stories beforehand. If you spend time thinking about your outline for a couple of weeks or a couple of months before you actually start the writing process, then when you're actually sitting down to write the book, you know the scene. You're like, okay, these two characters are supposed to talk together in this location and the conversation is supposed to go this way. One character is supposed to say something like this to this other character. It doesn't have to be overly detailed, but the more details you have, I've noticed in my own work, the more details I included in my outline, the faster I wrote. If I had a book where I included more details in the outline, I would write and go through those books very fast compared to the books where my outlines were not very detailed, because then I had to think of more creative stuff. There were even some outlines that didn't work and they weren't detailed enough, and so I'd have to actually take the time to think about the scene and what I wanted to do with it. And that took a lot of extra time out, and I wasn't able to hit, it took me longer to hit certain word counts whenever the outlines were more vague or not there as they should be. That's not to say that improvising isn't a bad thing, and even if you do outline, you should still always give your characters creative freedom and allow the story to move and flow as you want it to and as you think it should go, because then that allows your book to be better. It makes the book naturally more creative, and when your characters do things like that surprise you as the author, it actually makes the story itself more creative, and it makes it more exciting and thrilling, and a lot of different exciting plot points can happen because your characters are getting you off outline, and then you as the author have to kind of figure out how to get it back on outline. I've done that before too, but essentially it makes you write faster by knowing your scene ahead of time and knowing exactly what you're doing and what the scene is supposed to be, because all you have to do at that point is just sit down and write the scene. If you have two characters speaking in a cafe, they're in a cafe, that the conversation is supposed to be about their business, basically. Maybe they're making a business deal, and so if you have who the companies are, you have, okay, one guy wants to make a deal to the other by selling toys. The gist of the conversation and how it's supposed to go. So if you're sitting down to write that scene and that, then you can just write. All you have to do is plug in the details as you're writing, and that doesn't take as much creative brain power. It does take creative brain power, but it doesn't take as much time to come up with those gritty details as you're writing, as it would say you didn't know. You had two characters and you didn't know that they were supposed to make a business deal. You'd have to sit down and come up with the concepts and the things creatively as you're getting ready to sit down and write. Since this video is really short this week, I'm going to get into a few more details about outlining specifically and how to outline your book, since it is very important and one of the main ways that you can actually write faster. So let's get to it. So the first important part to outlining is that you need your basic idea. I call this an aha moment, but essentially this is going to be your log line of what your book is supposed to be about. If you only had one sentence to tell your readers what this book is going to be about, what's the sentence? What would you say? It could be about anything. A magical fairy loses her wings and has to find her way in the world again. It's a very simple concept. Once you have that sentence, you take that, and there's several different techniques you can use. One technique is where you take that sentence and turn it into a paragraph. You take that paragraph and turn it into a page. You take that page and turn it into a bigger, and you keep building upon the idea, keep building upon it until you get your book outlined. The other way is taking that simple concept the way that I like to do it is you come up with 3 points in your book: the beginning, the middle, and the end. These are going to be points A, B, and C. Those are your 3 main points in the book and the 3 main points in the plot. Where do the characters start out at? What's their life like? Is it a character? So in this case, the fairy, she starts off, since she's going to lose her wings, we probably need to show her life before she loses her wings. So in this case, her point A would be her life in the fairy forest with the other fairies. The midpoint would be at some point she gets close to getting her wings back and she finds out another clue on how to do that. And that would be the midpoint, getting the clue to finding her wings, to getting them back, the hope there. And then point C is the ending, whether she gets her wings back or whether she doesn't and she learns to accept herself as a wingless fairy. Those are the 3 points to the plot, essentially, in this fake book we've got going on. So from there, you take those 3 points and you connect the dots. So this is the hard part and probably where it's going to create a lot of where you need more brain power, and that's going to cause you the longest time to actually do this part of it, because you have to figure out how she gets from being a wing fairy to being wingless, and then she's got to start her journey. So you start filling it in with more plot points. So we know that she starts off with wings, living in the fairy forest, and somehow in the middle of that she's got to lose her wings, and she has to come to this point where she has a hope of getting her wings back. So we have to fill in those holes. So what you do is you come up with more plot points. Well, at some point we know one plot point is that she's got to lose her wings. How does she lose her wings? We can figure out what we want to do. Maybe she loses it because of an evil dark fairy that's been going around stealing fairy wings and casting spells on fairies or something. So we know that she does that. Maybe she has a couple of friends, so we know a couple plot points in the beginning may be these dynamics between her and these friends. At some point she's gotta, maybe we need her to kind of be made fun of because she needs to leave the fairy home to go seek out an answer and to desperately want her wings back. If she doesn't want them back, if she doesn't have a reason, if she's supported at home, she would have no reason to want her wings back. She would be accepted immediately. So for the sake of the plot, people are gonna bully her, so we add those plot points in there. And then she goes on a journey. We can add in a few more plot points there. She encounters a big giant monster. She has to get away from it. She goes with her friends, that sort of thing. Then we come to the midpoint and they're all finally connected. So you're kind of filling in, this is the first point, and you're kind of filling in the dots. So now we're at the midpoint here. Now we have to figure out how to get her. She gets the hope of getting her wings back. How does she get to the ending? Does she get her wings back or does she not? So we can plug those in and fill in a few more details there. Once you have these specific plot points, you can turn each of these little dots in these points into scenes. And that's basically the quickest and best way that I know to outline. And it's a very simple concept that works for me. I do a different technique specifically, but that is the gist of how you outline. By outlining your scenes, you will be able to write faster because you know what you're doing and you know what you're supposed to be writing that night. If you have to go in and use a lot of brain power to think about what the scene is, it's going to take you longer to write, because a lot of that you're not going to be writing. You're just going to be sitting there thinking and figuring things out. That should be done beforehand if you want to learn to write faster. And remember, the more detailed your outline is, the easier it will be for you, the quicker you will be at writing. So get detailed with your outline, spend a month working on it if you have to, and then writing the story is actually going to be the simpler and easier and faster part. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you really enjoyed this. If you liked this video, if you enjoyed watching it and it really helps you, be sure to like this video, share it around with your friends and other writers and authors that you know could really use this advice in learning how to write faster. And be sure to subscribe to this channel for more writing videos every Monday. Thanks for watching.